This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains no spoilers, but does mention Pride and Prejudice. There's also conversation surrounding suicide, self-harm, and domestic abuse.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing the cult classic movie Practical Magic. And this is based off of a novel by the same name by Alice Hoffman. And to start off, I want to say that I have hair icons in my life, and two of them are in this movie. My other hair icon is Jennifer Love Hewitt in Can't Hardly Wait. Jess, do you have hair icons, and are they in this movie?
I mean, the layers that Nicole Kidman has in this movie is just the layers and the volume and
the bangs.
You know how long I'm still a bangs girly. They're not so much side bangs and swoopy, but I'm a bangs girl through and through. Now I still have curtain bangs. Not at the recording of this episode. I have my hair in a headband, but it's still, there's something it still feels very, as much as it feels very 90s, it still feels very timeless.
It does. Oh my gosh. Practical Magic. I love this movie so much. Throwing back to something, Jess, that you said when our Chicago episode, you said that Chicago is a movie that you can watch over and over and over again. You can stop and then immediately start it again. That is Practical Magic for me. I love this movie. I will watch it. I will finish it. Like today, I watched it, I finished it, and I immediately started it over. I just love it so much. There are so many reasons why I love it, and we will go through them. But the hair is just something that I cannot let go of. It is iconic because we get to see Nicole Kidman in her red hair, her straight red hair, and Sandra Bullock in her full, this is 98, I believe, 98 hair glory. It is just fantastic. Jess, is this the first time you've seen this movie?
No. Finally, I can say no, it's not. We saw, it was like one of our, when we do one of our girls' weekends, you're like, this is one of the first movies that we did. And I think we did it last year. And then I came out just a couple weeks ago. We were like, let's put Practical Magic on again. And it was perfect fall weather, right? We had, the windows were open. It was kind of like dreary. It was a rainy day in the mountains. So those were, the clouds were coming over, and we opened everything, and we were just like lights off, watching the movie, just vibing it out. And I think I've probably watched it 3 times at this point, but now that I've started, it's one of those movies that you don't want to limit to just, fall. You kind of want it, it's definitely a comfort movie in a weird way, but for multiple different reasons, again, that we'll go into in this episode.
It is a comfort movie for a lot of ways. It is a cult movie. This movie did not have success at the box office. This movie found its success in the home video market of, the late 90s. Did not succeed at the box office, which was surprising to everybody. I have fun facts that I will sprinkle throughout. Starting off, Sandra Bullock did this movie because Speed 2 was a flop for her. And she said that she was no longer going to do blockbuster movies. So she did Hope Floats, which I love Hope Floats. I saw Hope Floats when I was in grade school. I was very young when I saw Hope Floats. And it has a very special place in my heart. And then she did this right after. So it's these are time capsules for me. It's I know exactly where I was when I watched it. I know who I was with and where. Yeah, it's very special.
Oh, I love that. That's so great. No, I knew that she did I guess that she was going more, I don't want to say rom-com, but more like sisterhood and romance route, I guess, from what you're saying after Speed 2. To no one's surprise, I never saw the first one or the second one. So, but I did see Hope Floats. Again, that's probably nobody's surprise. But she's timeless. I mean, both of them are timeless. This whole cast, all the characters. I mean, the first time I watched this, I didn't even, all I knew, Stockard Channing was from Grease and had no idea that she had this whole other, range, honestly. And how happy I was when she came on screen and the character that she played, a beloved character easily.
Tell me about the characters.
All right. So we have Sally, who's played by Sandra Bullock, and she has 2 daughters, Antonia and Kylie, who we find out Kylie is actually played by Evan Rachel Wood. And then you have Jillian, who's also called Jillian in the film. That is Nicole Kidman. Sally and Jilly are sisters. And you have the aunts, Aunt Frances, who's played by Stockard Channing. You have Aunt Jet. Then and I'll say like the key people and characters in the show or in the movie. And then you have Gary Hallett, who plays the detective, and James Angeloff, who is the abusive ex-boyfriend, who also like unalived a ton of other people. And Jillian finds herself in a relationship with at some point.
At some point. Yes. At some point.
At some point.
At some point. Our movie starts with something that is very important with Maria. She was the first witch in the family. And Maria was a heartbreaker. Maria was pregnant. Maria was banished because she was a witch. And she curses. She doesn't want to feel the pain of love. That turns into a curse. That's the plot of the movie. Every Owens woman, when they fall in love, that man will die when they hear the ticking of the beetle.
Right. And that curse was put on because Maria's lover left her high and dry in her exile.
Yes. Never came for her. The line is like, no one ever came. So that is the plot of the movie. All the men die. And because of that, and because they live on a small island, they have a reputation. So they grow. So the women grow up, because they are witches, being like taunted by the town. That's our plot. I have to talk about the house. I think everyone that watches this movie has to talk about the house. The house is what dreams are made of. The house is like what heaven looks like. The house is paradise. The house is nirvana. The house is all the things. It's perfect.
Every time between you have the conservatory, you have the garden, you have the attic, you have the spiral staircase. It's perfect. I want to say Victorian style-esque. I don't know if that's probably like the closest equivalent that I can think of off the top of my head. And it's overlooking the water. It's on this cliff. It's kind of isolated, but still close enough to like where you want to go. So you don't feel like you're completely in the rural. If that's kind of what you're looking for, great. But like you kind of get the best of both worlds. Then Laura, what was one of the facts that Barbara Streisand wanted this house? Went to buy it because she's Babs. And lo and behold, that is when, just like how we all find out, it's not real. That house does not exist in real life.
It does not exist in real life. Fun facts about this. Okay. So I have the locations of where the film was shot and like the towns and stuff. But the house, they built an exterior shell on location on, I believe it's San Juan Island. They built a shell, but the location that they chose was like a sacred burial site. So they struck a deal where they built a platform that was like up over the burial site so that nothing was disturbed. And then they built the shell so they could do the exterior shots. And then they built the insides like other places.
Like on sets or created sets and
stuff.
And
then as soon as they didn't need the exterior shots, they immediately had to take it down. That was like the deal that they cut. And it's so disappointing because I just want it so badly, just like Barbara Streisand. But if she couldn't get it, then like that's fair.
Or like then none of us had it.
Then none of us can have it if she couldn't have it. But trigger warning here. There's a lot of dying by a broken heart. We know what that is. We know what that is without saying what that is. That happens to parents a lot here. It happens to moms a lot in this movie, dying of a broken heart. So we get a lot of orphans, and that's how Sandra Bullock and so Jilly and Sally end up at the aunt's house. And that's also how Kylie, Sally, and Antonia end up back at the aunt's house because Sally's husband dies because the curse is real. Curses are real. Magic is real, right? Oh my gosh. The shot that I love here, though, is the repetition shot of little Sally and Jillian walking into the house with their braids in their dresses.
Like when
right?
they're young, when they're first
when
walking in, right?
And then Sally and her girls walking in, and the girls are dressed the same way, you know, the whole thing. But it's different because Sally's like jaded and like sad. I love the like, I love it. I love it. It's just really good. I was bullied severely in school. Were you bullied severely in school?
I can't think of a time I wasn't bullied. I'm bullied even as an adult in workplace situations. So
I cannot imagine being yelled at, being witch, you're a bitch. That's mean. That's mean for a kid. But also, like, they are witches. So I absolutely, completely understand Kylie just like cursing the shit out of that kid and giving him chicken pox. Like, good on you.
And I love that it was that he actually got chicken pox.
Yeah, he did. It's confirmed.
Realistically, in school at that time, I mean, chicken pox. This is before. I don't know when the chicken pox vaccine came out. I didn't get the vaccine. I had actual chicken pox. So, that's typically around the age that you start getting it. So, if it was already going around the school, it just probably became like this time, you know, like, oh, well, that was bad timing. But I would have absolutely put something on somebody else, and, you know, and if it happened, you're like, well, didn't mean to manifest that.
Yeah, like, whoops. Jumping around a little bit, going back, I love the transition from like the kid, Sally and Jillian, and then all of a sudden we get the adult Sally and Jillian. I say like adult, but like Sally's in her glasses and her braids, and Jillian,
like I would say like the high school version,
yeah,
not high school, like the college, because that's when Jilly is like, you know, a little boy crazy, and she's like, I won't say boy crazy. She wears her heart on her sleeve, and when she falls quickly and deeply, and that person becomes her entire world outside of her relationship with her sister, to the point where she's going to run off with this new boy, throws a overnight bag, and she's like, runs into the wind. And her sister's like, but like, are you ever coming back? And they share the bond, and they share a blood bond. And I remember one of the things I said, I go, they're sisters. They're actually, I think they might be twin. Are they twin sisters?
No.
Okay. But they're sisters. They have the same blood. So it was like, that seems counterproductive, but you're like, it's symbolic. But later we know that their blood bond is what helps them, like, you know, because they're witches, because of magic, they get to know when the other is just like deeply needing the other person and just drops everything for them.
The cut can be anywhere.
I know.
It doesn't have to be. I still have the fucking scar from where I cut my palm just on the door lock when I was living in Germany. I cut it there. It can be anywhere. It does not have to be your palm. The thing that you need to do, like literally fucking anything that you need to no. You know, it could be like the back of your, you know, it could be
like your elbow. It could be like elbow.
It could be your elbow. It could be like your forearm. It could be your ear. Literally, like anything that just, I will never understand. I understand dramatics, right? But like practicality, like, oh my God. I'll just dig, you know, make another little hill and stand on it and then die because, you know. I am, sadly, just a normal, regular white girl. And as such, there are certain songs that strike something deep inside of me that just like make me become a crazy version of myself. And Faith Hill's This Kiss is one of those that I will just as soon as I hear that opening, like, I will drop everything that I'm doing and just belt that. So every time I hear this, in this love spell scene that we have here, the buildup is such a fucking tease because it's instrumental for like the first couple minutes, and you're just like singing it in your head. You're like, okay, and then Sandy starts running because she runs. That's the only mode of transportation in this town, is running for the Owens women. And she's running into town with the dogs behind her, and I just love it.
Well, the devastation of that scene, and like, a little bit, like a couple minutes after, because obviously the guy she falls in love with is unalived. I knew that I hadn't seen this movie till last year. But I knew two things. I knew of Midnight, not even Midnight Margaritas. I knew of the four of them dancing around the table in the kitchen. I didn't know what that was in reference to, but I had like that moment of pop culture through memes or whatever. That was already in my head. And I knew this moment of her running to him with that song playing. Those are the only two things that I knew about this movie. Oh, and then like the house. Everybody knows the house.
Everybody knows the house.
When we started watching that movie, and then I found out that was the beginning of the movie and not how the movie ends, because in my head, that was the only stuff that I knew. I was like, ooh, happily ever after, blah, blah, blah. We know this if you've been following the podcast. It's like that. I come from like a contemporary romance background. That's my shit. When I saw that at the beginning of the movie, I was floored, because at that same moment, and Laura, you and both Sam were there, I was, oh no, he's gonna die. I knew it. I was like, that's not a good sign. And you were just laughing because I was connecting all the things right there.
You're just like, oh no. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Because then the Beetle starts to go, and then he's like, with the bikers, and he accepts it, whatever. And then bam, with a truck. It's very City of Angels, if you've ever seen that, with a truck. Fuck, dude, that sucks. It just sucks just as hard as Jimmy Angeloff, who sucks pretty hard. He sucks real bad. The director changed his character. Jimmy is supposed to be from Texas, but the director changed his character to reflect his kind of like heritage, Bulgarian. So that's a little change, but fun. God, he sucks, but like, I totally get why Jillian would go for him. I totally get it. I get it. Like, whatever, Jillian, that's fine. Maybe not let it go so far. I like how Sally is like, you're drugging your boyfriend to get sleep.
Some things, she was like, hear yourself.
Yeah.
Something's not okay there.
And Jillian's like, don't judge.
Well,
no judgment here.
Well, at the time, and I think because that they're witches, she would jokingly say he's a vampire, but he pretty much is if he's not, like, he stayed inside when she was partying at the pool or in the shade or something, and then she's drugging him to even sleep. So different vampire lore is either they only sleep during the day, or vampires don't sleep at all. They don't need sleep. So hearing that, I was like, oh, okay, so maybe he is of some sort of mythic lore background.
Yeah, it's never like explicitly said. He just like comes back as like a ghost to like terrorize everybody, but it is like a little detail. Oh my God. But he does wear a silver ring, which I find interesting. So Jillian drugs him, and Jillian goes back to Sally because she has a feeling, and she, knows that Sally's husband died, as Sally is very depressed. Jess, when we watched this, I said, this is another sisters under the blanket moment, just like Pride and Prejudice. They're under the blanket, they're doing their like little sister thing and like giggling and like talking and stuff and like bonding. And we love that. We absolutely love that.
No, I mean, sometimes people think like all the emotions and the buildup is at the end of a movie. And then you're like, whether it's the waterworks or like just tearing up, and that part is always so special because not only are they sisters, because obviously they're sisters by blood, but I think what's so lovely about their sister relationship is not only are they sisters, but they're friends by choice. Just because you're sisters with somebody doesn't mean you need to be friendly or have a relationship with them. And I think that's just so beautifully reflected in this scene, because you just hear them. You hear, like, I don't know their relationship outside of this movie, but you just hope that they have a good relationship with each other, because you just hear it. Like, I mean, and they're also just like amazing actors. I missed you. Like, that was all. And it was just like, I was, because it's just so special. And obviously people know, who, if you've been following our podcast, the importance of those, you know, the sisterhood, those female relationships, because the good and the strong ones are few and far between.
Just I said earlier that there are a couple songs that get me, like, I'm going to say White Girl Wasted. This is another one. This is Lisa Loeb. Lisa Loeb songs. Also strike a chord in me and really get me going. And the Lisa Loeb that is playing when Sally is writing this sad-ass, sappy-ass letter, I really feel it. I feel it. Like, oh my God, it is really something. And she's just like, there's a hole inside of me. I'm laughing, but it is very sweet. She's like, I have a hole inside of me. I want to be seen. I want to be loved. And we get that great shot of Sandra Bullock, like, blowing the candle, you know, and it like, oh, and the stir. She's doing like little magic. Great scene. Great letter that plays in later so well. Very vulnerable. This was my thought, though. Very, very vulnerable to put in a letter to your like party girl sister who's like, what they say, like, blowing through men. And I think,
I mean, probably literally and metaphorically, probably.
Yeah. And I think Frances is like, you know, she needs a man to blow through her. Like, it's like, okay. Well,
that's
weird.
why the sisters, I mean, that's part of their relationship, right? So Jilly leaves. The aunts are who the aunts are, because, you know, you find out they're like, you can choose to be nude at the full moon festival. You know, you recall.
It's a choice.
You know, and their relationship, I think it's just like, they're very different people, but that doesn't, you know, just because you're different doesn't mean the love that you have for each other. You know, you're allowed to be vulnerable. So, you know, Sandy writes this letter to Nicole. I mean, I'm saying like their actor names, the characters. I know. So, and it's special because it's like she doesn't have an outlet. You know, she's ostracized in her community for being who she is. And even you see it when Jilly comes back and she wants to be at the top of the phone tree, because who doesn't want to be appreciated?
Don't talk about the phone tree yet.
Okay.
Don't talk about the phone tree yet. No.
But like, you know, she comes back, and I think every now and then it's okay to be vulnerable, whether it's like talking to her, but like at the end, her aunts are like, even when they're, you know, what are they walking around town, just going to the post office, people are making comments, and she just kind of keeps to herself. And that's when the aunts create that spell for the husband, who dies very quickly.
Within like 5-7 years. I don't know how old.
Yeah, they were old enough. Like, they've been together long enough to have the kids at the age that they are. Yeah,
like 7. I would say like Kylie's like 7 or 8.
But because of that curse, that also like, it's one of the many reasons why that Sally's so jaded, because she's like, fuck this, fuck magic, like this sucks, you know. And that's part of the reason why later in the movie that they say you can't, like, that's why this whole spell backlashed. You can't stick your nose up at this thing that's part of who you are, but also want it to work at your favor at the same time.
Which you bring us exactly to what that is referencing to. So Jimmy's a little asshole. Jimmy hits Jilly. And Sally knows this. She has like the intuition that something's wrong. I really like that scene. Mm-hmm. Sally's like out. She's doing something, and the phone starts ringing, and she's like, Jillian, it's Jillian. And the aunts are coming down the stairs to get the phone too. And the aunts are like, it's Jillian. She's like, I know. Jimmy, little asshole, hits Jillian at the hotel, and Sally goes to go get her.
She just says, watch the girls.
Yeah,
I'm going to Logan. Yeah.
Go to get her. And, you know, there's blood on the moon, and Jillian needs her tiger's eye necklace, so she has to go back. And then basically, Sally and Jilly are kidnapped, and they end up murdering Jimmy after a long monologue about Louis L'Amour, which is very funny. But they end up killing him with belladonna. And then they have this whole thing of like, well, the aunts said when your husband died that they wouldn't raise him from the dead, not that they couldn't raise him from the dead, which is an immediate red flag, like immediate red flag. Like, obviously we know we don't do this. Don't do this. Don't ever do this.
But this is like one of those, like, I feel like it has to be spoken, but unspoken also. I mean, if there's anything, whether you're pagan, whether you practice witchcraft, whatever your craft is, I was under the impression just from watching Aladdin in the 90s is you don't bring people back from the dead. You don't practice necromancy. I feel like that is an spoken rule throughout a lot of things, many things, all things, actually.
all things. And going back to what you said, Jess, about how, Sally has a lot of potential for her magic and she doesn't use it. She doesn't want her kids to practice magic. She's very jaded. And Jillian says, like, later on, like, I wish I had half of your talent. My criticism here is that these ladies do not finish this spell. And then they're walking around wondering why it doesn't work. They do not put the needles through the eyes.
They jumped back.
Jumped back. They do not finish the spell.
That's why it backfired. No,
this is it's never said. It's never said.
I'm like, this is factual. It could be factual.
It could be.
I am not a practicing witch.
I don't know.
If you are, please let me know.
Yeah,
if we're being factual here.
I'm not sure. One of my favorite things was they use like whipped cream.
They're like, that works to make the pentagram.
Yeah. My note here is that the music makes it not as serious as it is. The music is very Home Alone, very Batman-esque. I do believe that. The music's very like kind of lighthearted, kind of like la, 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 kind of like that, which does kind of suck the seriousness out of it until like, needles for eyes until they start doing it. But they do not complete the spell, which is like so fucking annoying to me. Like, of course it didn't work. Like, of course you have to like go through all of this again. Of course you have to kill him again and bury him again. And of course you're not going to tell the aunts. But again, like they buried him. I think you said this. They buried him so close to the house. Like, were they not going to notice this like giant plot that they dug up? Like, it was so close to the house. Like, Jesus. That's another like kind of gripe.
I just have so many. I mean, I've watched Dexter twice, so I just have so many other thoughts of they lived on a cliff. They are women who are very resourceful. I just felt like that was kind of obvious if we wanted to if we were trying to hide anything we weren't supposed to be doing.
Especially like zombie, like zombie situation. I would feel personally burning is a good option. Again, we don't do the crimes, we don't do crimes, but we have the ideas for how this crime could be a little bit better. Just saying. But moving on to Phone Tree, which is probably one of my favorite fucking scenes in the world. I love Phone Tree so much. Nicole Kidman's entrance here. Oh my God. It was in the trailer, I believe. I remember seeing it on TV, the Hang On to Your Husbands, girls. Woo. That was in the trailer. This scene where Sandra Bullock is like, now all I need is naked without my homework, like a nightmare for school. And they turn into just like giggling sisters. This thing that Sally was so stressed out about and she was like kind of snapping at Jillian about earlier at work. And Jillian comes and she just like diffuses the situation. Love it.
Well, she was stressed because it was something that she always wanted, and the PTA moms, and let me readdress the mean girl PTA moms, because obviously not all parents are like that. she was like, she wanted to be a part of it, but she also was just like that anxiety buildup that comes with like, oh, but I have to deal with this and I want to be a part of it. But I also, you know, the stress, just like all the stressors that come with mean girls. And, you know, sometimes once a mean girl, always a mean girl, no matter how old you get. It doesn't grow out of you. And keep in mind, they're also in the same town that they grew up in. So it's all the same people that they went to high school with. And it's just kind of like compounding on each other. And Jillian is the sister that like left the hometown. So here she is coming back and she's going to be there for her sister. And, you know, maybe, and, you know, just the scene alone feels very like chaotic little sister. So maybe that's makes sense why they're not twins either, but they have each other's back no matter what, because even leading up to the scene, like you said, they're at work and she was like, why is she so mean? And then it was like the worker, like her, Sally's employees who's like, give her a break. It's phone tree day. And like, she just remember, fucking people are out for my sister. And you know what? We're going to fuck around and find out, because guess what? Little sis is back in town.
It's so funny. She's like, is that a snake tattoo? It's amazing. She's like, that was you. That was you. No, that was me. And she's like, no. That was me. On top of the phone list. Yeah, that was me. That was me. Love
and it was like every single page. Yeah, she's like, you know what?
Fuck you guys.
It would be a shame to have these powers and not have a little bit of fun with it.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. Something else that is amazing, that is iconic, that is something that when you think of this movie, I think of house, hair, Margaritas at Midnight. Margaritas at Midnight is just this iconic scene that I feel like everybody knows it, right? I love how excited they are when Jillian wakes up Sally with like the little like nose forehead thing that they do. And Sally's like, da, 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 da. She's like, listen. And they're just like, yes, it's Margaritas at Midnight.
Because you also know, like when they were growing up, they were probably young enough where they either like were peeping through the staircase and like couldn't wait till they were old enough to participate. And here they are, because obviously like Sally has the girls now, but they're sleeping. They're like, we get to do this and we get to do it together. And this is always like, it always feels like it's positive juju when they're doing midnight margaritas.
And they're just like dancing and having so fun. Fun fact, Sandra Bullock brought some shitty tequila to set. So they were all drinking. They were all a little tipsy. Everybody was in on it except the cinematographer, I believe.
How very Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Even though this is like after this movie came way before Mamma Mia.
They're all just like dancing, and it's just so much fun. You can tell they're having fun. You can tell it's like good vibes. You can tell that kitchen is just like so beautiful, and I want that kitchen so badly. The Margaritas at Midnight, you know, they're singing, they're dancing. It's very fun. It does devolve into like hurling insults, hurling pretty nasty insults.
You know what that reminds me of? When everybody initially thinks Never Have I Ever is a good drinking game initially, till things start getting really personal. I love a good Never Have I Ever till I don't. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, and it gets pretty nasty. It's like, you know, we had to bind the love spell with molasses to get you to open your legs, Sally, because you're such a prude. Jillian, you're a slut. You know, like everybody
shaming.
Yes, everybody's like all up in everybody's business. But then it is revealed that they are drinking Jimmy's like brand of tequila. So it's like bad. It went from like good vibes to like bad vibes. And like someone left it on the porch. Like, I don't know where it came from.
Which was wild, because we know at that point that it had been emptied.
Yes.
No. Yeah, it had been emptied.
Yeah. So it was very crazy, very crazy. So then, you know, the ants are like, what is this bullshit? This is bullshit. We smell bullshit. Clean up your mess. We're protecting the girls, but we're piecing the fuck out of here. Clean it up.
They said clean it up because they weren't honest with them. That's what it was. They were like, what happened? And they're like, nothing happened. We're like, well, something happened.
Yeah, we're not telling you. Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And they knew it enough to even protect the girls. You know, they were like, we can't be around, but they knew whatever was happening. They were like, here's like the special necklaces or something that they kept to hide the girls.
We are up to an hour into the movie. Fun fact. Real witches, I say this, like this movie. They say that it is, the ants are positive representations, they're positive role models. That is a positive representation of the craft, although sacrificing doves, which is shown in the beginning, is not practiced in the craft. But another reason why women in general really like this movie, which they do, obviously, because it's amazing. But Mr. Hallett here, what is his first name? Gary Hallett, which is the love interest for Sandra Bullock, does not show up in this movie until about an hour into it. And the men are like accessories in this movie. He's like not really important to it. He's like kind of moves the plot around, but like, you know.
Well, I mean, because this, at the end of the day, this isn't a love story. This isn't a love romance. It's about sisterhood and family. And I mean, there's nothing more to say. It's a wonderful book. Like you said, it's, men are dessert. It's great if you have it. It's great if you don't, but like they're accessories.
I think he's there just to like show and prove that like the curse is broken, because it was like broken through like the love of sisterhood and like everybody's blood together. But and I think he just like shows that like, yes, you can have happiness now because it is done.
Well, and also like remember at the beginning of the movie that when Jillian and Sally are younger, when their mom dies, they find out about the curse. They hear about the curse. So Sally makes this spell and creates, quote unquote, the perfect man. But to her, it's not like he's the perfect man. She created a man that was so unattainable. So she couldn't, she was like, I don't want to love so hard the way mom did. And we lose her. I don't want that. And so she creates this unattainable person intentionally, knowing I'll get married, I'll do this when he hits these check boxes, and thinking he's never going to exist. And now it's also a way for her to kind of have faith in herself again and her magic, because that's when she's like, oh shit. Like, I know I had real magic, but to have hope and faith again, like, whoa.
It's like, well, damn.
Yeah, that wasn't supposed to happen. Fuck me.
I like this movie for a lot of reasons, obviously, but one of them is because they give us like dates and stuff, and I like that. So this is March 8th. They are there, March 8th. Gary Hallett shows up March 8th. And something that I do like is Sandra Bullock says, like, I don't think I can lie to him. I think I'm having a heart attack, Jilly. Like, Jilly, you need to go talk to him. He's here to talk about, this crime that we committed. And I can't lie to him. All I want to do is confess.
But I feel like that part of that reason is because that he's the guy that she like created with her own spell.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, I hope that I didn't see that wrong.
Oh no. Yeah. But he's there and he has her letter, and he also like really starts questioning them. It's just like on their bullshit, because it is bullshit. He takes the belladonna out of the car, and then he starts questioning the town. And I want to bring this up because the town starts snitching. My note is snitching. The town is snitching on them, being like, they're witches. They have like placenta bars. The old ladies, this is why I'm bringing this up. There are some old ladies in wheelchairs that are telling Gary Hallett that the ants eat and sell placenta bars to stay young. That's why they don't age, which is funny. We are also meant to kind of understand that the ants don't age because they are wearing very old-fashioned clothes throughout the whole thing. But also, just as you pointed out earlier when we were talking, they do stay the same age. So Jillian and Sally get older, and the girls get older too. So that's just like a really fun, like, kind of thing. Like, obviously it's like movie, obviously, but like the lore of the movie, how they worked that in, very fun. But also, I don't know if you know this, but this movie is kind of credited with the rise of like cottagecore, because a bunch of people watched it, like our age, watched it at a very formidable age, and then wanted to emulate that when they grew up. And this style can be like a type of cottagecore. And also very coastal grandmother, because when Hallett is in the store, in Sally's store, buying like overpriced shampoo, there's that whole scene, and she like storms out after him. She storms out. She's got her cardigan, and she like wraps her cardigan around her, and the wind is like blowing in her hair. it's like a seaside town on an island, you know, and it's like picket fence and, you know, there's like boats in the background. She's just like, she's like all wrapped up in it. She does that several times. When she's not running down the street, she's walking quickly, wrapping a cardigan dramatically around herself. And I'm all here for it.
Cardigan's probably the most used prop.
Yes. Oh, and it's brown. It has like little like jewels on it. So pretty. I bring up another time, date, and place because he goes, Mrs. Sally, I need to question you. How about I show up at your house tomorrow at 10 in the morning?
You love all the specifics. We did that for Daughters of the Moon.
Yes. Like, yes, thank you. Finally, because I challenge listeners. I challenge you to find me another movie that has a time, date, and place for a date that is happening. That isn't like a dance or something where everybody like in a situation like this. It is just really nice. And then we have that whole scene with like Jillian and Kylie having their like mirrored conversation, right? Kylie's like, I can't wait to fall in love. And that is exactly what Jillian said when she was exactly the same age. And Jillian is looking at her and she's like, you know, it's that monologue. It's like when you have your arms out and you spin and spin and spin and spin and spin. That's what love is like.
And Sally's daughters very much mirror the relationship that Sally and Jilly have.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. They're just adorable. My note here says that Nicole Kidman looks amazing in like tiny little glasses, and she does. It's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. But throughout this whole breakfast scene that we learn through all of the like, you know, things that this man, Hallett, is the man that Sally had dreamed up, that she thought wouldn't exist, but, you know, too perfect, but like whatever, he's here. It's just really sweet because I want this setting. I want this breakfast table. I want all of this outside. Oh my God. It was just like so incredible.
Well, and this scene was fun because like this is after she's having her panic attack of realizing she can't lie to him for whatever reason. So then when he's starting to interrogate her, oh, did you kill? You know, she's like, why don't just stop beating around the bush. Be direct with me. What do you want to ask me? And he goes, did you kill him? Did you kill Jimmy? And she's like, and when she realizes she can't lie, she was like, oh yeah, a couple times. Because they did, because they killed him once. They killed him again. They had to keep kind of till they finally buried his body. And at that point, he's like, why do I know she's telling the truth? But that doesn't seem possible either.
But then they make out in that scene. The question. Oh, first of all, sir, why are you questioning her in your bedroom? There's a different place that you could have gone. But I like the tension between them. It's very sweet. I like how they kiss there. And I like it.
Well, even that's when we find out about the letter, and she was like, how many times have you, he's like, oh, that's evidence or whatever. And she's like, how many times? Because the amount of times he had read it and folded it and read it, I mean, that paper was falling apart. It was close to being a tissue at that point with how soft it was. So you can tell. That's why she's like, He goes, I don't know. I can't help it. Like he's drawn to her too the second he sees her, but probably before then, because obviously he has this letter. He's probably drawn to her from this letter, and then everything starts unfolding. Can we flash forward to the end for a second where she starts questioning? So what I do appreciate, you know, you have the spells, you have this, you know, drawn connection, blah, blah, blah. I do appreciate Sally's practicality where she goes, even if we end up together, how would we not doubt if it's our true feelings for each other or if it's like this mystic, you know, component that's why we're together. I love how logical she is about that because I would absolutely be thinking the same thing.
I can't wait to talk about the end because I have something very, very funny to say. But yes, and that is another thing that does not happen very often in movies where people have that kind of like self-awareness to be like, but really, maybe just another reason to love this movie. We're up to the part where Hallett sees Jimmy's ghost. We love it when a man is scared shitless and then has to confess that he read your letter 1,000 times. Very sweet. Very sweet because he's shaking because he saw a ghost. Nicole Kidman putting in the work. All of her possession scenes where she was like writhing around on the floor, they put rubber floorboards underneath her so that she wasn't like cracking her head open. So good for her. I love it. But I do love this, like, very, like, he's very vulnerable after Hallett is very vulnerable after seeing the ghost. He's like, curses only have power if you believe in them. And I don't. I wished for you too. And like, this love isn't real. It's just, this whole thing. But then we have arguably the best scene in the movie. Sally comes home. And I love this pink lighting that is behind her. My note says pink lighting. Sally comes home and Jillian is possessed as fuck. Possessed as fuck. And what does Sally have to do? Sally has to activate the fucking phone tree and she has to come out as a witch and it's so cute and I love it so much.
Everybody knew she was a witch, but she had to kind of take that ownership and like herself too, because she's wanted to suppress it for so long, unless when it was convenient for her. And and this is another example of she knew Jillian was possessed because there was like, her sister's spidey sense was tingling, but it was too late at this time. So that's, they had to activate everything. They had to activate it. And then they had to bring, their brooms. And then, you had one of the ladies who was completely a non-believer, but she was also like, I've just always wanted to be included too. It was like one of those, like, I didn't see you, you didn't see me kind of thing. And she brings her little like, hand vacuum thing.
And then we have the mean girl. We have Sarah. Sarah's the girl that was throwing the rocks. And Sarah shows up and, they're like, oh, we didn't think you'd be here. Sarah's like, well, I always wanted to see the inside of your house. I would totally say that because I definitely would. I just want to see the inside of your house like my whole life. Like shit's raw. Like, oh my God.
The closest, like you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the practical magic house around your house, near your house when we go on walks.
I love it. I love it so much.
Just like, please have an open house so I can just peruse.
Yes, gosh. So the whole point of this is they need a coven. They need a coven, 9 witches, 12 is better, to kind of purge this man who has been squatting inside of Julie, and this is Jimmy, like a toad. They say he's a toad, and like toads come out and like whatever. It's very dramatic. It's very sisterhood. It's very like chanty. My note here is that some of the women, I'm gonna call them like extras because they're not like really named, get really fucking into it in that like overhead shots. They're really into it. It's really funny. I love it. I love it. But then we have the really good like sisterhood break the curse kind of part where Sally kind of coaxes Jimmy out of Jillian, and then they fucking slice their palms open again. Oh my God. But this time there's wind and light and like magic curse breaking, and like the women all get punched back. You're like pushed back. Very magical, but like, damn.
Maybe your palm hasn't healed yet because you're not a practicing witch. Because everybody's palms always seem to heal. You got Bonnie Bennett. She shouldn't even have, I'm just saying. I
will speak more on this in our Wild and Wicked Things episode. So if you are interested to hear more on my thoughts about palm slicing, make sure you tune into that, whenever that might be. But when we're doing this palm slicing, it's the whole chant is like your blood, our blood, Maria's blood, and the curse is lifted. So we love that. And then the ashes of Jimmy fall down. It's like, ladies, let's clean house.
Which is also, I know you love a bookend situation because that's the same thing that they said at the beginning of the movie when Jillian was like running off. She's like, your blood, our blood, your blood, my blood, our blood. So you had that at the beginning. And then this is like the bookend situation of it being repeated.
Yes, which had to slice palms twice. Okay, fine. fine. The movie's essentially over here. But Hallett sends the ring back. And Sally calls for him because, what would we do for the right guy? And he's the right guy. This is what I wanted to say when I said I wanted to talk about the ending. Why is Sally in the woods in a brown, lace flower dress, just chilling in perfect hair and makeup?
Oh, when she casually saunters out.
Why is she in there? What is she doing? She's perfectly, I imagine she's in, heels of some kind or, boots. What is she doing? She's so dressed up to come, waltzing out of the woods. My thing is here is, woods dress, sandals. What are you doing? Very funny, very sweet, it's a love story. It's a love story. I ordered this hat for my Halloween costume. There is a witch hat company called Everly Crumble and Witch.com. It's on Etsy as well. Just Google that. And they make a practical magic inspired, it is very close, hat. And I did buy one and I bought the tights and I have this dress. So I will be going as one of the sisters, probably Sally, for Halloween. And this is inspired by this ending, which is the witch jump when they all fly. Fun fact here, the extras in the town being, I believe, Coopsville, were paid $40 to come and stand outside and be in this. So these are all townspeople with the stars, which is very fun. Love that. And the ending here is but I know some things for sure. It's salt over your left shoulder, plant rosemary at your garden gate, lavender for luck. And it's
fall in love whenever you can.
Fall in love whenever you can. My note is a heart, so I'm glad you knew what the actual words were. But that's the end of this movie. God, it's so good. The music is oh, so good. Not the original score for this movie. The original score was tossed and another one was brought in. It's very good. It's very whimsical.
Yeah, and actually the music, the final the person who did all the music for this wound up being Alan Silvestri, who, and if you're thinking wow, even the intro to this movie is so whimsical. We had looked into it, who is this person? Because it really is whimsical. It's magical. It's perfect. He's also the person who does Forrest Gump and Castaway, The Polar Express, Father of the Bride, The Bodyguard, The Mummy Returns, and he's involved with a ton of MCU projects. And I think most recently did Pinocchio, the live action, which makes sense because Tom Hanks was in that. And I guess he has I'm assuming based on all the movies we also just listed, Tom Hanks is involved in a lot of those. So, I mean, once you put that all together, you're wow, before that, I really only knew two composer names, which was, Hans Zimmer and John Williams.
Yeah, which are excellent composers, by the way. I mean, those are top tier. If you're going to know some, those are the ones to know. Damn. I have some fun facts. Would you like to hear them?
Always.
Fun facts. The movie hired a witch consultant just to make sure they got everything right. And then halfway through production, wanted $250,000 more and a cut of the profits, to which, the production company said no, to which, the witch cursed the movie. That's a fact. And the director was a little bit freaked out about it. So he got an exorcism just to make sure everything was good.
I wonder if because this didn't perform so great on the box office, they're oh, it's because of that damn hex.
Damn it. Stockard Channing was not the original choice here. They wanted Vanessa Redgrave, which would have been very interesting. There were 2 TV spinoffs that were never made, and there was a prequel that was derailed by COVID that had Jenna Duane Tatum. Is it still Tatum?
No, they're divorced. She's married. She's
Jenna
remarried.
Jenna Duane attached to it, but it hasn't had any movement since COVID, and nobody knows what's going on with it. Stevie Nicks sings the official, official theme song, which is funny because, rumors. Which shot on location in some places in Washington State at Friday Harbor and Coopsville. This is based on a book. It's different from the book. The aunts, kids, and Jimmy are all different in the book. And the apothecary shop is actually in Coopsville on Whitby Island. And in real life, it is a bakery.
Huh.
Those are all of my fun facts that I can think of.
Well, I would ask, would you watch this again? But
Oh
we
my God,
already
of
know
course.
you do. So
Of course I would watch this again. Oh my gosh. More so, I would take Jillian's hair color to my stylist if I could, but I can't. You know, she would say no. She'd say no. I would do a lot of things. I would build that house. I would, I would do so much. Yes, I absolutely love this movie. It is a feel-good movie. Something that the critics pointed out is that when this came out, they didn't know where to put it because it was like too scary for kids because of the Jimmy stuff and like, the hitting and the like violence and stuff. Too scary for kids, but like too silly and not like plot heavy for adults, which I don't agree. So critics like didn't know where to put this, and that's why it's like low. Which I guess I understand because like it is kind of scary for kids with the Jimmy and like the violence and stuff. But like
I also think it's like one of those, back in the day when like video stores existed, and we're totally dating ourselves. You would go to the video store and pick out a family movie. So I can understand why the success of this happened in the home entertainment window and not necessarily in the box office window, because that's kind of when the parents start gauging, depending on families. Let's pick out a movie together. Let's sit down and see if this has, if we could sit down with everybody and kind of watch it. And there's a little bit more censorship when it comes to specifically like younger kids. And, everybody says like, well, it's up to the parent to gauge, what kind of content the child is consuming. So I can see we're like, oh, just like when you shop at a bookstore and you're just picking out the cover, you're like, oh, what's this book about? And you pull it off the shelf. It was the same concept. I could have been like, oh, well, this seems like a good one. Let's just watch it together. It's kind of like, festive for like fall, Halloween, whatever the vibe you were going for was.
So you have not seen this movie like 1,000 times. So
No.
Is this when you watch this movie the first like couple times? Because I feel like if a movie is good, you should watch it like at least twice before you like really talk about it because you want to really absorb it. So you've seen this more than twice. Is this movie like what you expected when you went into it?
No, I didn't know what I was expecting. I told you I knew the highlights, or not even, I wouldn't even say that there were highlights. I didn't know it was a movie about sisterhood. I knew about like the kitchen scene, but I didn't know, I just knew them dancing around the table. I didn't know because I knew the two moments separately of Sandy and her husband running down the street, that moment, and then the kitchen scene separately. I didn't realize that they were from the same movie. Like the overlap, I think I might have thought they were just like two different things until I put them together as I got older. I think I did. So I didn't realize the sisterhood about it. I thought because, I thought it was probably love focused. I knew it was a witch movie. I knew Nicole Kidman's hair. I love when she like does a roll in her red hair. It's my favorite thing ever. I really didn't know what I was going to take away from it, but I knew with your encouragement and like insisting that we had to watch this together, that's when I was like, okay, there is a strong component of female friendship and empowerment and the importance of sisterhood. And that's when I was like, okay, there's going to be a takeaway. But nobody ever talks I feel like I've never heard somebody have an actual conversation about it, except, maybe outside the, oh, have you ever seen Practical Magic? That was really it. Like, I've never heard anybody really have the dialogue that we're having.
Shout out to friend of show, Becky, who really loves this movie, who suggested this movie, and who reminded us that there are movies that we love that are about sisterhood that we are so familiar with that we don't even recognize the message anymore because we're so like, this is a comfort movie. I love this movie. We are not critically thinking about this movie. Shout out.
Thanks, Becky.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Because this is just absolutely incredible. You know how we feel about sisterhood. And thinking about the statement that the men are the accessories here, they are. And that's wonderful. So more of this, and someone please build this house for me.
Please and thank you. And I would be so you're telling me I could visit you in your witch house? I'd be so excited. I mean, you're in your witch house now, but your practical magic witch house.
Please.
Give us a little time on the house. Maybe, you know what? We can build the shell. I think we can.
The shell.
Collectively, we can build the shell.
Just put a tarp in the back. That's fine. That's close enough.
We'll just
That's
do
a
the
metaphor.
Perimeter. We'll just do the perimeter. We can.
It's a metaphor for something. Metaphor for something. My gosh.
Thank you for joining us for this episode. Feel free to follow us on Instagram, ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. And if you feel so kind to write a positive review or rate us on one of your social listening platforms, we'd be greatly appreciate it. So thanks again and talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.